Okay, I was muted this whole time. All right, let me start over. Welcome to the Legendary Upside YouTube channel. Going to be jumping into a draft here, as you can see on the screen. Just me today, and one of the things I want to talk about is some of the rookies that I think will be um, rising. Not just rising as we get closer to the draft, but I think rising after the draft. So yeah, I think that'll be kind of interesting. One of the first ones, as you can tell from the thumbnail, if you saw that, Amari Hampton, I do think is still underpriced. He's going to go in the first round, I think. And when he does, are we going to be taking him in the fourth or the fifth round? He's more in the fourth round on Underdog, but you still get him over on DraftKings in the fifth. So yeah, Hampton's a key one. Travis Hunter, I'm trying to keep in mind that he could play cornerback, which obviously would be a huge problem for us. But I don't know, man. I think he's the best wide receiver prospect in the class. So it's sort of like it's always been a risk tolerance thing. But as the likelihood of the upside outcome hitting, goes up, then I don't want to get caught being too risk averse. Henry says Alec Iomanor is going to rise, 17th round. I was taking a ton of him at one point. I'm a little nervous about his draft stock. It felt like when we first started kind of the offseason process that I was hearing his name kind of as a second round pick type guy. Feels like he's fallen a little bit to maybe third round, maybe even fourth round. But if he was let's say he was a second round pick, which I still think is possible, he's just an absolute smash right now. And if he's a third round pick, I think he's well priced. If he's a fourth round pick, you may be like, I wish I didn't have a bag of this guy, but I don't think it's over. And he probably doesn't fall a fourth or fifth. So I'm still taking him. He's not as big a target as I thought before, is kind of how I'm viewing it. But I would put him in a category of a guy who could rise a lot if he gets the draft capital. There's a number of guys like that, actually. I think Trey Harris would be a guy who I'm like, if Trey Harris is a second or early third round pick, even mid to late third round, I mean, he could be a big riser with a good landing spot. Jarquez Hunter, yeah, he's someone I'm starting to mix in now. I think Jarquez Hunter is an intriguing guy if he lands in a good spot. I think he's probably day 3, but maybe early day 3. I think Imanor grades out as a round 2 pick, so I don't expect him to slip past round 3. Yeah, I've seen some stuff where he's outside top 100s. That's what makes me nervous. I totally get where you're coming from, that you think he's a round 2 guy. I mean, he was a 2-year player. Both of those years were, his true. I don't know if he redshirted. Was he a redshirt freshman or a sophomore? But either way, it's like his second year in college and his third year in college, and he was really a big piece of the offense in both years. I think he's a big dude. I think he's pretty interesting. It's a class where there's not that many classic X receivers. So if a team wants Jaden Higgins and doesn't get him, maybe he goes early third or something. It seems like 3 wide receivers and potentially 4 will be taken around 1. Do you see ADPs moving much on Golden Bird? I still think Golden is going to rise. I think people are now maybe he's risen enough on Underdog. It's a little bit different on DraftKings. He's cheaper there, but I do think he has the potential to rise a lot. I'll put it that way. He could rise as a mid first round pick in a really good situation. And I always think every year I'm like, oh, that's baked in. Everyone knows Golden's gonna be a first round pick, and then he becomes a first round pick, and the market goes nuts because he was a first round pick. So I as much as I think it should be baked in, it almost never is. So yeah, if he goes first round, I think he rises. And I think he goes first. I would be kind of, I don't know if I'd be like completely shocked, but I'd be mildly shocked if Golden wasn't a first round pick. Check Discord DM for the sneakiest riser. No, just tell me on here so I don't have to check Discord. Let's see. We're on the clock. I'll go Bijan. Truth serum is I kind of would rather take Jahmyr Gibbs, but I don't want to fade Bijan. And I've got a lot more of these to do, so I'll get Gibbs later. All right. Loved recent pods with Eric and JJ. Thank you. Those were a lot of fun. The JJ pod, we went deep on a ton of prospects, so highly recommend checking that out. Rookies are too cheap on DraftKings. I agree. Ideal spot for Golden. Dallas would be, I would say Dallas is probably the best. I think he would be like, he's their Brandon Cooks, but like the young version of Brandon Cooks, you know? I also think that's a pretty good spot for Tet. And he maybe, the buzz is that they're actually more interested in Tet than Golden there, which I thought, like if you had asked me like 2 weeks ago, I think it literally on Ship Chasing about 2 weeks ago was like, they'll take Golden over Tet. Seems like the winds are actually blowing towards Tet now. Feels like Giddens has a lot of room to rise. Yeah. Giddens, Harvey, Sampson, Neal, Tootin, right? All those guys could rise a lot. Tootin a little less so because he's already a little more expensive. But I think those dudes could really rise. I would also throw in Brashard Smith as a guy who could rise a lot. Like if he was a 3rd round pick somewhere, and looked like he could earn a role pretty quickly. Damian Martinez I like, but I don't know if I see him rising. I think Martinez is probably going to go in like the 150s range, even if he lands a decent spot. But it's a deep running back class. There's going to be some winners. I'm the Fannin guy from Blue Sky. Nice. Okay. Wait, which Fannin guy? I'm like all. I said a lot of things about Fannin, so I've talked to a lot of people about Fannin. Yeah, Martinez. Martinez is, I guess, because he's not really a 3-down guy. I don't know. Like I think Giddens could like be a huge riser because he's the type of guy who could just like own a backfield. Let's see. We're on the clock soon. I'm gonna take ideally a receiver. I don't have much Bijan Drake London. That would be kind of cool. I'd be into that. All right, what did Sack DM me that he won't tell me on the stream? Oh. Yeah, jump on if you want. Sack Sleeper was himself. That you can join the stream. Hang on, I got to DM the link. All right. So Tyreek's top of the sidekick. Let's go Jonathan Taylor. Let's get a little robust on a Friday. Take some running backs before we head out for the weekend. I don't think I've done this. I'm only about halfway through the big board, so there's probably a lot of combos I don't have, but I'm pretty sure this is a combo I don't have. And now I do. All right. Okay, let's see. Any speculation on Travion Henderson to the Bears? I mean, other than that would be awesome. And I could see the Bears taking a running back in the 2nd round with one of their 2 2nd-round picks pretty easily. And I think he goes early 2nd round. So, yeah. I've been kind of wondering if Henderson would actually go late first, and then maybe that would be like Judkins. But if he's there, he'd be an awesome fit for them. One of the roles that people talk about with him is potentially being a kind of Jahmyr Gibbs type role. I think he's not that similar to Gibbs as a prospect, but you could certainly utilize him as like a lesser Gibbs as a receiver if you want. He's very explosive as a runner, though, like Gibbs. All right, let's see. Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon hype train is nowhere to be found. Running back 1 in 2023. It wasn't his fault. He had a bad year last season. The team just sucked. I mean, it wasn't his fault. Yeah, maybe it wasn't his fault. But the thing with Gordon is that he's a big runner. He's not that fast. He's like 4.61, and he's a breakaway runner. So you look at his success rate, not that great. I'm going to go ahead and take Garrett Wilson here because we need a receiver extremely badly. So his breakaway runs was what his production is driven by breakaway runs. Not particularly consistent. Like, again, looking at success rate, not terrible. It's not like, he's really, really unreliable, but that's not a strength, which is kind of surprising given how big he is. But we see this sometimes. Caleb Johnson's kind of like this, where you have these big backs that are actually kind of more like home run hitters. Deontay Foreman is someone kind of like that, right? Like, he's okay in short yardage for sure, but when Deontay Foreman was fun is because he actually kind of breaks off some big runs as a bigger back. So Gordon's breakaway production was incredible in 2023, and then it completely dries up, like completely dried up. His breakaway rate dropped below 30%, which is horrible. So he went from like Saquon Barkley in 2023, and then he turned into like a worse version of Najee Harris, or like a Josh Jacobs level breakaway runner. But then you're not getting the consistency that you get with Jacobs or Harris. It's like a boom bust profile, but there's no boom. So that's what we dealt with in 2024 with Gordon. Sure, yeah. I mean, if the offense sucks and the offensive line's bad, it could just be that like he didn't have a chance to deliver the way, to what his skill set is, which is that he's going to be a big breakaway runner. But in a way, you'd think maybe he would be. Maybe the success rate would drop really low, and he'd still have some breakaway runs. So it is concerning, I think, to see like no breakaway ability, given that was his calling card and what made him special in 2023. And then there's a question of, does it even if he kept it up, would it translate? Because he's not that fast. He's 4.61. Derrick Henry was 4.54, and he was like 20 pounds heavier. So it's like the big breakaway back, it's already a little suspect. So if Ollie Gordon was going to be a 3rd round pick, I would be like, maybe it'll work. Someone's going to give him a chance. Let's see if he's the 2023 guy. I don't think he is. I think he goes day 3. I think he starts as a backup. So I still think he's too expensive, frankly. Not like crazy expensive, but he's someone I think we should be mixing in the final rounds, and he's still treated with a slight premium to that. But again, that comes to draft capital. I'm not sure he gets the draft capital. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take Rasheed and bring Sacrilegious to the stage. Zach, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well. Great day to draft a robust RB team.
I feel okay about it so far.
No, I've had like this Bijan JT. I think I had like a Gibbs JT start that I've done, a handful of times. I'm sprinkling it in. And I think the rookie receivers are kind of the key to making this work, right? Like you just got to hammer a bunch of them and hope that you find the ones that pay off.
Yep. Yeah, I think the rookies are big, and guys like Rice. I mean, Rice is discounted because of early season, but by the end of the year, you're like, I've got these running backs chugging along, and I'm getting really good production out of my top 2 wide receiver picks. You just have to wait a little bit there. We've got a name change alert. Just renamed our 13-year-old Siberian Husky from Keena to Lan Larison. That's Davis's new white running back.
I'm very familiar with Lan Larison's game. He is not too far down the road from me.
Oh right, yeah, okay. What school is he at?
UC Davis. I had a friend who worked for the football team there as the equipment manager for a few years. So I used to get all the inside scoops on all the hot UC Davis prospects.
Yeah, well, that's some serious inside info. All right, we're on the clock. Addison, sitting right here. I mean, I do
Yeah,
like
I'm
Addison.
usually I take Addison the most here out of everyone. I'll mix in Cortland Sutton occasionally, just because I end up like double exposure to Addison, and I just try to make sure that I'm not totally out over my skis there relative to Sutton. I mean, I like Addison a lot better, but
Yeah,
I do want to have some Sutton and Godwin.
I try to mix in Sutton too. Um, all right, there was a question here. Hope all is well with you as well. And we got a question: what team is the sneakiest to take a running back and make him the one right away? I mean, the Steelers are they're not that sneaky, I guess. Who's sneaky? Who's this
I
like an
think
actual sneaky team?
the Jaguars would be pretty sneaky. I
That's a sneaky one.
don't think we're
Yeah.
expecting it, but it's definitely possible, right? Totally new regime there, new GM, new head coach, two guys that weren't super impressive last year.
The making him the one right away is tough to kind of say. You know, I think the answer is probably the Jags to make him the one right away. But there's always teams that take running backs where you're like, no,
Yeah.
don't do that. I think I think the 49ers probably end up drafting a running back.
Yep.
That's going to be annoying. The Vikings drafting a running back will be annoying because like it's such a clear backfield now. We know we can take Aaron Jones. You know, he's a 1A. And Mason, he's the goal line back, and then they're going to take someone in the third round and be like, now we have to think.
It'd be surprising to me if the Vikings are a team that does it. Just 'cause I felt like the trade for Mason, like spending the draft capital, really to me more read like we know we have limited picks and it's really just a swap here. And
That
so
wouldn't
we're
really.
saying, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Connor Rogers has Ollie Gordon outside his top 20 running. This is the type of stuff where I'm like, okay, like, are we dealing with the UDFA? I don't think we are, but we could be dealing with a sixth round pick pretty easily.
I had like no Ollie Gordon for a long time. I've gotten him a little bit on Underdog, but really DraftKings where I've been able to get him
Mm-hmm.
because he'll be there in the 19th often, and then it's like, sure, Ollie Gordon's my seventh running back here. I'll take him. That's whatever.
So Cam Skattebo, his ADP is interesting. We have an article that Michael Dubner's working on, and we were kind of discussing where we thought Skattebo's ADP might settle. I'll get back to that after I make this pick. Pickens, I'm going to take Ridley for this team. I feel like the certainty of Ridley's role is nicer than the wild card of Pickens. I think Pickens is a very good player. I hope the Patriots trade for him. But, you know, you don't know what's going to happen. And I desperately need receiver production with this.
Getting the certainty of like knowing what quarterback you can stack with here, given who you've got on your team right now and like your stacking options. I also kind of think taking Ridley is nice there because with Pickens, you're not going to draft Aaron Rodgers to hopefully stack with Pickens, you know?
Yeah. Pickens could also like go to the Raiders or something where you're like, what do we do with that? You know, there's not, it's like you can dream on the Patriots, and I recommend it, but it's not necessarily going to happen, you know? So if you need the wide receiver production, wide receiver 4, let's say, I would take him as the wide receiver 5 if he gets back. There he goes. So that's not, that dream is dead. That dream is dead.
Yeah,
This is about where I like Golden. Go ahead, sorry.
Whenever I find myself like deciding between it's usually Pickens, Jacoby Myers, Calvin Ridley. Like I'm between these few guys often, and it feels really weird to click Pickens right now. But the story I tell myself is I think he's the best player out of all of them. And there's so much shit that's going to happen between now and December. Like I'll just take the best player, but I think mixing up those guys is good.
I think by pick 93, there will be like a wide receiver 5 available. So I am going to go ahead and take Mahomes. Get that stack going. All right, let's talk Skattebo. Yeah, so I was talking with Michael Dubner, and the initial thinking was like his range is probably tilted to the downside. He could kind of fall. But one thing I think people in the best ball community has been maybe like not as hyped on as I thought, or maybe kind of worried they would be, is that like this is a guy who I do see in top 100s all the time, and usually pretty comfortably, like in the 60s and the 70s. He could be a second round pick. He could be an early third round pick to one of these spots. Like, oh man, could you imagine if the Raiders took Ashton Genty at 6? That'd be sick. What if they take Cam Skattebo in the third round? That would also be pretty sick. Um, I view Skattebo as not a complete back, but the short yardage is really intriguing. His ability to be used in short yardage situations, really strong success rate, and then the receiving. His receiving ability is among the best in the class. Not like elite, but strong. And so I think that kind of a wide range of outcomes for Skattebo is that he could end up falling to like the 140s, 150s. He could also end up going in like the 7th round. So this, to me, this feels like pretty good price. I think he's a target. The other thing is that like even if he goes as a backup, even if he's viewed as a backup, even if he's a 4th round pick and then viewed as a backup to like an incumbent, I think we'll still take him at least where we took Trey Benson last year, maybe even a little higher, maybe more. We took Rashad White. I think we're taking Rashad White around the 11th round, 10th round. And he catches passes, so I think he'd kind of go. He'd be like one of those premium handcuff type of guys, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're thinking of it through a lens of like post tournament lock CLV on Skattebo, like what does he finish at in BBM versus where were you drafting him in the big board? Like the downside, sure, there's room to get hurt, but it's like, okay, you took him at the end of the 10th, or beginning of the 11th, and then he falls to like the 13th or 14th, and it's like, what's even the opportunity cost there? Like when we find ourselves in our 11th round pick, just look at the ADP, the guys by ADP, and you tell me which one you really feel like, oh my God, I'm missing out so bad by not taking this. Like that's one of the grossest ranges in the draft to me. Like that kind of 11th through 12th round. I just feel like the ADP there is really not in the order that I would consider efficient. And so I find myself kind of skipping around there a lot. So it doesn't feel like a ton of opportunity cost.
No. Kelsey's here. He might be back. He might be available at 100. We could probably push that. Pollard is past ADP. I think I might do that. I don't take a lot of Pollard, but we did invest in Tennessee. And I think we can push Kelsey pretty easily. And then wide receiver 5, I think we end up waiting on. Unless we take Diggs.
I was going to say that you could just consider Diggs here.
Yeah. We might be a little low on Diggs. Let's see. Where is Diggs in the...
He's right behind
ADP is
Pittman.
109.
Yeah, the ADP on Underdog is so slow to adjust because on DraftKings he shot up.
He's rocking
like right
it up.
away.
Yeah. I think we go Kelsey or Diggs.
Yeah, the DK ADP is not always efficient, but it is much better at moving. It's much better at moving when things would facilitate a move.
Diggs. Yeah. I think it like literally updates like this. The algo updates quicker. So it's not just the drafters. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's like live rolling where DK or Underdog updates like I want to say it's twice a day or once a day even.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me look at the receiver and see wide receiver 5. Yeah, I think we can push wide receiver 5.
You're just going to have a gang of wide receivers on it because you have 3 really strong running backs already. So at this point, running back is just like you're only taking it when it's like, yeah, this is the best player here, like by a way.
Yeah. All right. I think this pick will be pretty easy. And then there were some questions I wanted to bring up. How much Trevor Etienne do you have? Not a lot. I have a hard time clicking Trevor Etienne. I I have a hard time seeing what the upside is. He's like this receiving back, but he wasn't that great of a receiver in terms of yards per out run and stuff. It just feels like one of these guys who gets kind of draft capital on pedigree, but who's never that good at either Florida or Georgia. So I kind of with ETN, what it is that I really want to see the capital come through. Like, is he a day 3? Is he a day 2 pick? Is he a round 3 pick, day 2 pick? Right? If so, then I will draft some. But until then, I don't know. It's like whenever I see myself about to take ETN, I'm like, is there anyone else I've been trying to mix in? How about Jarquez Hunter? And I end up taking them.
Can you guess how much Trevor Etienne I have?
Like 10%?
11 on Underdog, 20 on DraftKings. So
yeah, I mean he'll show up. He'll show up on the sidekick for sure.
Yeah.
Need some Jacquard in my life for 2025. We've got the Jacquard trees for sidekick subs. What's the where are we at with that?
It's calibrated for 18 player drafts, not 20. Just because Underdog doesn't release the data for the biggest board, so I can't. The way that I calibrate it and say like, hey, this is how diversified you are relative to the field, is I'm using historical data to say this is what an average Jacquard similarity is at all the different percentiles. And so I just don't have it for the biggest board or the big board drafts with 20 rounds. But yeah, I mean, I get we could probably like extrapolate and have it for the 20 rounders, but it'll certainly be up and running for when Best Ball Mania drops. And I mean, shoot, under a month at this point. It's
crazy.
It's getting here.
Second round McBride with third round Marv. I think I'm going to start doing more of that to close out the tournament. Because I don't mind it. I think they're both good picks independently, and I'm down. Here are some suggestions for teams that could draft sneaky teams to start a running back. Browns, for sure. Patriots, for sure. Jets, that's a sneaky team. I don't think that he would be the one right away, but Commanders is a really good one. Giants, I think Tyron Tracy is pretty over.
Giants doesn't even feel sneaky to me, though. That feels like maybe not the most likely outcome, but like a pretty likely outcome.
Yep.
The one that you want a really sneaky one would be Bills. James Cook.
His
house on the market. Man.
Drake May Pickens, we need it. People had asked about Hunter, and Hunter at 140. My God, those were the days.
I've got a couple Hunter 170 teams from when the tournament
from the very
opened.
beginning of the tournament.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah. I think Travis Hunter ultimately does play wide receiver, and I used to think he'd play cornerback. But I think just given the way the draft is breaking, I think he's like slightly more likely to play wide receiver for the Browns and the Giants. And then if he were to go to the Patriots at 4, which would require Shador, which I don't think will happen, but that's like 100% lock to be a receiver. Hollywood getting that's sniped brutal. On Hollywood sucks. You're like, I don't even really want this guy. Should we just take Drake May?
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Because the other stuff that I would normally do here would be like whatever. I'll reach for Jordan Mason because I'm like, I take DeAndre Swift because I think there's a chance that they don't go Genty, they get someone in the second or later even potentially, and Swift maintains a decent role behind a significantly upgraded offensive line with a better coach, and we like his price, but I'm not super excited about him. I'm really not excited about Brian Robinson. They feel ripe for having someone take their job by the end of the year.
Yeah, we just don't need the running back either. So it's like, I mean, if you take, if you take the quarterback and then let the room decide, do you get a running back or you take one of these receivers? Dobbs and Coleman kind of fit the room decently.
Yeah.
As wide
this is a Romeo Dobbs-ass team if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. I like these tight ends. I don't think structurally I want to go that way. I'd rather just go ahead and take the receiver. Although all the people I wanted are going. So I don't know. Maybe we do take a tight end.
Whenever someone takes Keon Coleman from me, and I was like, God, this is a team where I really should take Keon Coleman, I just thank them. Like, what a gift. I don't have to click Keon Coleman this time. And I'd really talk myself into it.
I would bring up Jaden Higgins, but I don't think with Rice, it's like we already have one rookie, and we'll have plenty of rookies later probably. So, Loveland would be nice though, as far as rookie tight end goes.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to doing one of these tight ends and then just slamming wide receiver. I haven't been drafting as much on underdog lately, so I don't know how likely it is for Dubs to come back. But he slides on
he's at
on
140
DK often.
So he's pretty far ahead. Yeah, we're at 140. What keeps happening is that every time I think I can push receiver,
you get sniped. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but let's do it again. What the heck? One of these times a receiver will come back. All right, let's get some questions in here. Scat can play ball too. We might look back and think how stupid we were to be debating this. I agree. This is a versatile, big running back who's good in short yardage and might go round 2. And we're like, I don't know, 118. He's white.
I mean, at the very beginning of the prospecting process, when you kept describing him in our chat as Thick Eckler, that's what got me in. I was like, okay, I can squint and see Thick Eckler. I'm
Thick Eckler. Yeah. This comp has been passed down through the telephone through Davis to me, and no one knows where it originated now. But like James Conner, it's like James Conner, like kind of a blurry version of James Conner is basically what it is. Like someone who tried to recreate James Conner from memory and couldn't quite get there.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody in the Skattebo range is sketchy for sure. These are dudes who like might lose jobs and like probably aren't very good. But we're like, yeah.
The one that makes that usually gives me, and this is more of a DraftKings ADP thing, but the one where I'll end up being like, ah, dang, I want Skattebo, but Zach Charbonnet's right there, or like Travis Etienne is right there, and I still have a good amount of Skattebo, but those two are the reason my Skattebo bags are not more fully packed.
Yeah. Tyler's saying White, Benson, Algier, Rico, all poorly priced for their standalone role and contingent upside. Meaning they're too cheap. I think they are too cheap.
Yeah, Rashad White, he's not as much. Yeah, not as good. And then also like we're part of the reason why we're like just a tiny bit tentative on Bucky right now is like there is a chance that the Bucks add again in the draft. Yeah. Also, there's a chance that Sean Tucker is just the person that they want to use more on the field, and White is purely like White is a utility back. He's just here to come in when we just need a pass catcher, pass blocker, and like truly has no fantasy role because it's like a White ceiling game ends up being 5 points. You know, it's like sick. 3 receptions for 30 yards.
Chiefs are another team, by the way. With
that's an easy grab a guy and he's the starter day one landing spot.
Yeah. All right. I'm trying to get up to the top here.
Well, you did in fact get sniped on your Romeo Dobbs.
path train. I used to rely on the path train for work. I guess it's about to have more commuters. Hopefully not for too long. I don't have any knowledge of how that's going to go, but it'd be nice if you didn't have to do that. Jaden Blue is 2023 Keaton Mitchell. That is actually pretty interesting. That's an interesting comp because that does strike me as pretty similar. Jaden Higgins, we got a receiver. Right at ADP. Didn't have to reach. Top of the sidekick. You love to see it. Jaden Higgins is going to be drafted day 2. He did not do well in reception perception, which is a bummer. But I think as far as like a big guy who is going to win by, being where he's supposed to be and, was decently productive. 4-year player, but overall it's a profile that I kind of like. Don't love, but it's like a solid profile. He comped, let me pull up, his comps were like both like kind of unfortunate, and you're like, okay, let me pull him up. But Higgins, I think you want to talk about rookies who are going to rise. That being the conceit of this show, he's going to rise. He is going to rise. There's almost no way Higgins doesn't rise, because he's going to go day 2, and I don't
Yeah,
think people really have that
something would
baked
have
in.
to something really bad would have to happen in the draft for him to not rise.
So here, I'm going to give you some comps, and I'm going to give them to you in a way that's going to bum you out, and then at the end, this is going to be kombucha meme. Okay. Uh, here we go. Let's start. Terrace Marshall, Denzel Mims, Alec Pierce, Cortland Sutton. Yep, that's Higgins. It's probably not going to work, but if it works, it might be fun. Best fit for Higgins? I don't know. Who needs an X? Who needs like? I mean, the Cowboys would be good. Yeah.
Could totally be a Higgins fit. They don't take
Yep.
receiver in the first round, and then they try and solve that problem in the second.
So what does this running back room need? We don't want to take Algier. That's just a straight handcuff. I think Ray Davis is interesting.
I think we do the Ray Davis. I mean, I don't know about you, but my Ray Davis exposure is woefully low right now. I think Cam Ward's also a pretty good.
I think I'm going to grab
here.
Cam Ward. He's. We don't need the running back.
Right. The running back is we're just trying to scoop value at running back for a guy that's good and provides some just absolute nuclear upside for us if things break our way. Because our spots should be full most weeks. It's just like when this fourth running back hits and people see our roster in the playoffs, they're like, oh shit, that's bad for me. Like,
yeah,
they've got those 4 running backs.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, Ray Davis would have been a good pick. Ford, I don't think the team really needs. He's kind of
this
the wrong
Ford's like
archetype.
the antithesis of what this team needs.
Yeah,
he's who I take when I've got Amarian Hampton, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson to start my running back room.
Yeah, I think one way to think about where Higgins will go and should be going now is like when we were drafting at the start of this. I think it was like around 110 where Trey Harris was going, maybe even a little earlier. He
fell a lot.
This dude drank Trey Harris's milkshake from a NFL draft capital perspective. And so why not? Why aren't we on board? Like, to me, the profiles are actually pretty similar. Why not take Jaden Higgins? I mean, he's going way behind where Trey Harris was going to open. And I would say Higgins' draft capital outlook is rosier than Trey Harris's ever was. So I know he didn't have 5.21 yards per route run. I know people weren't as excited about Higgins, in terms of the college football ranks, but he's a pretty big value, I think.
Yeah, on the most recent big board from the 33rd team, Kyle Crabb put out a new one today. Kyle Krabs. He's got Jaden Higgins at 42, and then he has Trey Harris all the way down at 81 now. So they've flipped. It's 2 ships in the night.
Higgins in the 90s, that isn't even that hot of a take. That's like a pretty reasonable take.
Yeah.
He should honestly probably be on the thumbnail as a rookie who will rise post draft. Like,
yeah, the easy ones for me are like Higgins seems just based on where his draft capital seems like it's gonna. Damian Martinez too, not necessarily because oh my god, Damian Martinez, what an exciting prospect and player. It's just there are enough teams like the rumor mill is already starting where there's enough teams that are in love with Damian Martinez. He'll probably go earlier than he should, and a team's investing draft capital in him, and he's gonna. Like, I don't know if you saw the report that the Cowboys, if they miss out on Genty, have said they're going to go after Damian Martinez on day 2. It's like, okay, that seems
have
early.
What?
Yeah.
They said, oh my God.
Let me find.
They missed out on Genty. I've got a lot of
this.
Martinez. I didn't include him as one of the mega risers, but I guess I should have. God damn. That's crazy. Io Manor, to be the wide receiver that would rise the most. He could rise a lot, but I don't. If we're trying to bet on like why a guy or like the likelihood of a riser, the best ball market not being like fully aware of the most likely draft capital outcome would be like the number one way. And I think Higgins, his outlook looks a little rosier to me. All right, let's go DJ Giddens. Algier has fallen enough. Has he fallen enough? Why is it recommending a handcuff for Robinson?
We are so high on Algier that even though, so the way that team level correlation works with a handcuff, because we've looked at kind of the data behind this, is there still is a positive relationship between having two players from the same backfield on your team. It is lower than, like it's lower than having a quarterback and a pass catcher or even a running back and a wide receiver, but it's actually still something that you should be okay with doing, especially at a value. We think Algier was a value 2 rounds ago is why it's showing up. So I usually I'll get super greedy and push it though, as much as I can. And like, this would be the prime team to just get super greedy. And then like, if they, let's see, is there any wide receiver we even like here?
It would be Henry, because to set up a stack with May. We don't have stacked.
I was gonna say let's just do Jalen Knoll here. Because we're in desperate need of a receiver, and you want to get Galbrain. He correlates with Higgins.
He does. There he goes though. He does correlate with Higgins, because if they're both
the teammates,
if Higgins is good, Knoll's better. Teammate competition. Yeah, that's true. Henry's at 180, so he's not super likely to come back.
You don't find he doesn't fall as much on underdog. He's one where like the Patriots stink is tremendous on DraftKings, and people just give me Hunter Henry at like pick 200.
All right, we went robust running back to start. Do we just handcuck it to?
Oh God!
To complete.
I mean, none of these wide receivers are really ones that I'm feeling like it's a huge opportunity cost. If you take Algier, you're done at running back. Is there any other running back you'd be sad that you're missing out on? Like Martinez.
Let's take Henry.
Okay. Yeah, and if they dare us again with Algier, then we just take it.
Then we'll handcuff. All right. Let's see. Back to the questions.
But yeah, this Tony Pauline says Cowboys have said that they would be interested in selecting Miami's Damian Martinez on day 2 if they miss out on Ashton Genty. That is not the first like team that has allegedly been in love with Damian Martinez. Like really early in the process, some of the guys that are pretty plugged in were saying that they were having teams like mad at them that they were blowing up their spot with Damian Martinez.
Yeah, McShay talked about that at the senior, like as we were heading into the Senior Bowl. That he was like, he's had some people go like, shh, don't talk about Damian Martinez. He's an interesting prospect. I think he's like supposed to be pretty good as a gap runner, from what I understand.
The big criticism I've heard about him is, he's just such a zero in the passing game. That's from people who haven't watched any Damian Martinez. Because if you watch him, he is not incompetent as a pass catcher. Like they didn't use him a ton, and it's reflected in the routes run. But when he's out there, like he looks smooth enough. Like I'm not, building the whole plane out of we need passes to Damian Martinez, but like he looks fine. Like just go watch some Damian Martinez clips, and he looks pretty fluid. There's a couple pretty good highlight clips of him, like, blockers in front. He's set up for a screen. The pass is not great from Cam Ward, but it's like close enough. He snags it, super fluid, turns, gets moving downfield. Like, I think we're just doing the thing where like, this guy didn't catch a ton of passes, therefore he can't do it. It's like, I'm not counting on it, but I also don't want to say that he just cannot do this.
It's not that he can't do it. He had 0.73 yards per route run, which is a red flag. He ran 14 routes per game, which is better than if he didn't run the routes. They didn't mind having him out there, but they didn't really throw to him. His comps for me were Cam Akers, Izzy Abanikanda, Tyler Algier, Zach Charbonnet, Derrick Henry, Jamal Williams. Williams and Charbonnet would be guys who didn't profile as big pass catchers coming out, but have been involved as pass catchers because they're like trustworthy backs.
Yeah.
He would be kind of in that mold.
But yeah, those comps I think are a good kind of cohort of this is kind of the range you could expect as a pass catcher. None of those guys set the world on fire with their pass catching, but like
Right.
Charbonnet, very competent as a pass catcher, adds value to his fantasy lines with pass catching.
Yep, for sure. We could go DeMario. I don't mind that. I also don't mind Kyle Williams. As far
Yeah, I mean you're
DeMario
gonna
kind of makes sense for this team.
yeah, he's
Wide receiver
fine. You're
6.
gonna click a bunch of these guys here coming up, so it doesn't
Yep.
really matter which one we grab. I do think having a bench, since we're just like we're feeling a little weaker at receiver, like if we think through like the bad scenarios for Rashi's outcome, where like, oh, he's either injured to start the season or suspended, we're just like a little thin at receiver. So leaning towards guys like Demario Douglas, even like a Michael Wilson that might.
Yeah.
It's a guy who's active. He might give me 9 points, but it's like I'm trying to get 9 instead of 0 for a couple weeks, and then I'm just relying on the fact that my room's going to be a lot stronger down the road, and the fact that I put up 9 in my wide receiver 3 spot for a couple weeks isn't going to matter.
Yeah, although we're pretty strong at running back, so like Ridley, Addison, Wilson, I feel like we're okay at wide receiver 3. I mean, those
Yeah,
dudes aren't going to
I'm
be
just
crushing every
saying
week, but
I'm not trying to slam every one of these picks as a rookie, but I'm okay mixing in a rookie or two with these last few picks at wide receiver.
yeah. We could go Tolbert here with that in mind. That seems fine.
Yeah, he's definitely not my favorite, but it's whatever. There no one down here is going to be your favorite. The one that I actually find myself doing a decent amount. I mean, go ahead and click Tolbert. I'm not trying to make you change it, but the one I find myself doing here is De'Ami Brown.
You're going to have to talk faster.
De'Ami, because I never get.
Seconds.
I just don't get any De'Ami Brown because he feels like he goes early all the time. And so when he's available at a spot where it like remotely makes sense to take De'Ami Brown, I'm like, whatever. Let me work towards getting my 2% De'Ami Brown exposure that I'm going to have because I don't want totally 0. And I think there's probably meat on the bone at that. The Jaguars passing game is just so ambiguous past Brian Thomas, where I'm like, let me just mix in De'Ami Brown, Gabe Davis, Parker Washington, and hope that one of these guys ends up, just doing a little something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, De'Ami Brown's okay. Part of me wants to just take Parker Washington there because I'm like, you have the role. I would tell you what, if this was after the season, if it was after the season, I would know exactly who to take. If it was after the draft, I would take Parker Washington of those 3 because I know Parker Washington's role, and I don't know between Gabe Davis and De'Ami Brown who's going to do what.
Well, that's music to my ears because Parker Washington is my my highest owned of that cohort.
Okay, nice. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I know Mike Renner's high on him. I saw him. He had him at 100 on one of his big boards. This was one from maybe a few weeks ago, so I don't know if he's where he's on the most recent one. If he's released one in the last week or so, but that was the first time I'd even heard of him. And then, I think he was the Shrine Bowl MVP, kind of a speedy guy. He doesn't, like, as far as the stats go, he doesn't really pop for me. And then you look at projected draft capital, very high risk of being like a 7th round to UDFA type. So that's where I would be. I guess there's like a bucket of guys where I'm kind of like, it's on you, NFL. Like, get excited and I'll get excited. And he would be in that bucket for me, where I just don't want to risk drafting a UDFA when there's tons of guys available late that, like Damian Martinez. I mean, he's not completely free anymore, but he was completely free recently. And the Cowboys are going to take him in round 2, it sounds like. So, you have to be a DGen to get a couple shares. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. My general rule of thumb has been to mix it up. So, if it's like, hey, I'm mixing it up and I threw in Ja'Cory what is it? It's Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Yeah, some people have him as Ja'Cory Merritt too, which then further confuses me. But yes, okay, yeah. I don't know how fat Keenan Allen is of now. I'm not in the news game, so I'm not sure his weight at the moment. Torrey Horton. I actually thought about taking Torrey Horton over Toll.
Yeah, seems
He's
like
fun.
an easy pick here.
He's a really fun one. Yeah,
I have about
really
10% Keenan Allen across both sides.
okay. That's more than me. I really have a hard time clicking him. Okay, let's see. I think we can close this out with a running back and a receiver. Do I feel right?
Yeah, if there's basically at this point, I think it's what is the best player. Like if I'm not too tied to position at this point, so like Shipley field, I kind of like when you have like a couple elite running backs like Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, and then you take the contingent upside bet of another one of the elite running backs. You're like, and Will Shipley, because all the Saquon teams are dead, and then I'm supercharged. I have 85% of Saquon and Will Shipley, and then I have Bijan and JT. That feels pretty fun to me.
Yeah.
I'm also
that makes sense.
I'm into Jarquez Hunter, just mixing him in. He's
one of the guys I've been trying to mix in recently. He's like my Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. If I'm mixing in guys, I'm trying to like, you know what it's almost like with this running back class. It's like, how you're like when you mix in, you like stir into the batter and you like add a little. I'm like, I'm now at the end. I'm like a little taste of Jarquez Hunter.
he's like cardamom. You can't put too much Jarquez Hunter in there, or it's going to overpower everything.
Cardamom. Yeah, exactly. All right, Will Shipley's perfect. Perfect compliment to this room. I really like this pick.
And then our last receiver is just whatever flavor we're feeling this week.
Yeah, I like it. I wonder if the Jags are talking with Keenan. What's the tie there? Oh, just to crush our Parker Washington dreams.
It'd be the thing that made me most sad about my Parker Washington bags.
We do need Daniel. Daniel Raz has a investigative journalist streak that we need to tap into for this.
Dude, some of the breaking news bits that Daniel shares with us before they happen are pretty wild. Like
he has sources.
Yeah.
I don't know how or who they are, but the dude is clearly he's got
No, Daniel definitely has some alpha. When Daniel shares some news tidbits, I listen.
Daniel D asks best Keenan outcome. Chargers?
Chargers, yeah.
I think it's Chargers. Just somewhere where a dude just kind of like out of trust and love and nostalgia just peppers them with targets.
He'd work for what they need too. Like Ladd can operate. Ladd is more of like an all depths can do everything type guy, and Keenan is a little more close to the line of scrimmage type guy.
Actually, Keenan would be interesting on the Titans. To
help out with Cam Ward, give him something.
By the way,
reliable.
That's a team that could trade for Pickens. Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting, I guess. Be better than the Steelers. Do you think his ADP would rise, or people would be like, Titans, gross?
It probably rises. It
should rise. Should we be taking Pickens? Should we have taken Pickens on this team?
I mean, when you say should we be taking Pickens, how much Pickens do you think I have right now?
I mean, I have a fair amount of Pickens, but we should maybe even be more aggressive.
How aggressive do you want me to be? Because I'm at
have you been?
I'm at 18% Pickens right now.
Okay, yeah, maybe. I guess I am asking. Should we be more aggressive than that? Only slightly. We don't gotta go crazy. But
the thing is, like where he goes, like I'm saying, you look at all those receivers. Like if I go Calvin Ridley, I've got 4% Calvin Ridley on Underdog. Now I've done a better job balancing it out over on DraftKings. They all go a little bit later on DraftKings, so it's been a little bit easier. But like I've got a lot more Pickens on Underdog. Jacoby Myers. I've got 14% Myers, so he kind of took a bunch of the Calvin Ridley exposure. And then now Pearsall goes next to them. Earlier he was going later, but Pearsall I've got like 14%. Then, yeah, there's just over on DraftKings, I'm actually pretty even across all 4 of those receivers, so it feels a little better balanced there.
Okay.
But on Underdog, I'm definitely light on Ridley.
All right. I think this room. Let's see. Well, there's a guy I definitely want here. And it's not the guy at the top of the sidekick.
He's not Shoeless Joe Jackson reincarnate.
He's not Shoeless Joe, Shoeless Mac. Let's see. Speaking of DraftKings, I've loaded up DraftKings Draft. We'll do that next. If you can't stick around, let me know, but I got that going on. All right. Jalen Lane. I haven't taken much Jalen Lane, but I like seeing him here. I think he's live to go day 2. ESPN has him in their top 100. Not like one of my favorite guys, but one of these guys I am willing to mix in, and I've drafted very little of. So, Jalen Lane, come on down. Final team: Patrick Mahomes, Drake May, Cam Ward, pretty strong. Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, DJ Giddens, Will Shipley. I like that we've got the Pollard stack with Ward as well as Ridley. Garrett Wilson, Rashee Rice, Jordan Addison, Calvin Ridley, Jaden Higgins, Demario Douglas, Jalen Tolbert, Torrey Horton, Jalen Lane. Honestly, feels pretty decent at wide receiver. And then Kelsey, Loveland, Hunter Henry. Pretty good. I honestly kind of like this team.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to head on over to DraftKings. Let me zoom in a bunch.
Your Jalen Lane pick triggered me from yesterday. I was doing an FFPC with Drico, and for whatever reason, the FFPC software was just being really difficult. It was like really laggy and not being responsive, and the clock's running down, and we cannot get our pick in. And I'm trying to type in Jalen Knoll. And so I just type in Knoll really fast, and I'm spam clicking because we're at like 2 seconds. And so I click, and we drafted Nate Knoll. have you heard of Nate Knoll? Do you know about Nate Knoll?
No, I don't.
Well, he's currently 598th on NFL Mock Draft Database. He's an RB from Missouri.
Dude, I have Nate Knoll in my, so I guess maybe you don't know, and who would, but when I go through and I start my process for the evaluating all the rookies, I don't know, the guys that I now know as Jarquez Hunter and Nate Knoll were
might as well be Nate Knoll. Yeah.
They were names I put in a spreadsheet. You know what I mean? And Nate Knoll got in the spreadsheet. And as I went and learned about everyone, I was like, how did this guy Nate Knoll get in here?
Sunbelt Player of the Year. Okay. Don't know if you knew. Now, he was Sunbelt Player of the Year 2 or 3 years ago. Also, if you're trying to do penance for accidentally drafting the wrong player with the last name of Knoll, you're like, I'm going to force myself to watch highlight tape of Nate Knoll. You can go ahead and make this pick.
This is
pretty easy.
Yeah.
You're going to have a hard time finding Nate Knoll highlights from at least last year or the last 2 years. I had to watch 2-year-old Nate Knoll highlights, and it left a lot to be desired. So I think we just burned that pick.
That's funny.
I felt really bad. I ruined a draft with Drico, but maybe who knows? Maybe Nate Knoll will be the guy you need.
No.
he won't. But honestly, if Nate Knoll is on a practice squad by the end of the year, I'm going to count that as a win.
Yeah, God. All right, let's see. How bad is it if the 49ers draft the top 5 running back? It's going to suck. But I don't know. Some of these running, I mean, it is a shame, but some of these running backs are going to absolutely bust,
Yeah,
right?
brace yourself. It happens every year, you know.
Every year. And this class, although I do agree it's deep, it's not like it gets compared to the 2017 class. I'll pull up my running back stuff. I do not think it is comparable to the 2017 class in the sense that, like, I think it might be comparable if you put all the upside or like good quality bets into like a stew. It might be like the same amount you put in, but this year so much of it is collected in Genti. There wasn't a Genti in 2017. So it's like, yes, maybe overall the quality is equal, but it's in part because Genti is like a can't miss prospect. And then there's some other really good prospects too. But I don't think that, like, 2017 was just kind of crazy, the level of kind of layups that we had. I mean, Mixon would have been even a better prospect. He probably goes first round or at least higher, but he had off the field stuff. So there's, I just don't think there's no Mixon in the class. There's no even Fournette in the class. I'll pull it up in a minute here. Let's see. I'll get these wide receivers lined up.
I love this spot on the board
Me
on
too.
DraftKings. Occasionally you get a sweet little Trey McBride fallback too. This is a beautiful spot.
It's a beautiful. Yeah, DraftKings is pretty fun. All right, let's see. Yeah, easy.
Yep.
McConkey.
I do really like getting AJ Brown here because it makes the fourth round feel so easy to me. Because it's like I either get a Marion Hampton or you give me fourth round Jalen Hurts when everyone else is taking second round Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And yeah,
that's pretty good. Oh God, I forgot that Christian McCaffrey was 2017. So there was a Genti. It was Christian McCaffrey. All right, so this class is just worse than 2017. So 2017, I've got Genti and McCaffrey as tiered as Superflex 101. Then I have a tier of early first round picks in Superflex. That would be Leonard Fournette, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook. Hampton could get in there if he were like go 10 to the Bears, he would hit that tier for me. But where I expect him to go, he's more of like a mid first round pick. And that's also what I have Kamara as. So we're up to 5-2 here through the mid first round. What do you want to do here? I'm cooling on JSN. Should we lower him? I'm getting nervous.
We could. I think it's. I'm gonna pull him up here real quick in the rankings while you.
I'd rather take Garrett or even Harrison. What are your thoughts?
I'm okay with Garrett Wilson. Harrison, like I get, but you can get him in the fourth round on DraftKings a lot. Like I have a decent amount of Marvin Harrison where I'm taking him, in the fourth.
Although for some reason I can't. The ranking doesn't always match the ADP on DraftKings. I have no idea how it works. I've checked like 8 times that my rankings are cleared out. Doesn't always work the way you expect.
I'm looking at our JSN inputs. All
right, so while you do that, I'm gonna keep going. So Skattebo, Henderson, Judkins, and Kareem Hunt I have as late first round picks. Okay, so now we're starting to flip back. We're fighting back to the 2025 class is fighting back, but it's doing it with like late first round rookie picks, which are pretty valuable, but not as locked and loaded in terms of what we expect. And then we get in the early second round. I've got, and by the way, Skattebo, I put in my article that he was an early second round pick, but my current draft capital for him is pick 63, and that is just an average of various big boards and rankings. So it's not me saying I think he goes 63. That's where I'm just like I kind of feel like we're sleeping on this dude. Like he's alive to be late second round, early third round. That's probably the most likely outcome. it's not that dissimilar from where we expect Caleb Johnson to go, and he's got a more exciting profile from a PPR perspective than Caleb Johnson. So I don't know.
His name is so much more fun too.
Right. So then we go second round, early second round, Caleb Johnson, James Conner. And then depending on where you put the draft capital, you can get any number of these other guys. Like if the draft capital is high enough for DJ Giddens or RJ Harvey or Devin Neal, which it probably won't be, unfortunately, but they could all be kind of early second round. But then we just talk just second round rookie picks. Let me get the board up here for people watching. Samson, Giddens, Neal, Aaron Jones, Jeremy McNichols, Bashal Tutin, Deontay Foreman, Samaje Perine, Damian Martinez. So that would be that group. So that we win there in 2025. No, I actually kind of didn't. It was kind of a draw. Maybe a slight win. And then we go down round 3 would be Marlon Mack, Donald Pumphrey, Elijah McGuire, Trevor Etienne, Brashard Smith, Brian Hill.
Brian Hill.
Yeah.
I love me some Brian Hill. He was great for me in the XFL a couple seasons ago.
Yeah. But I think this class is good, but it's not good.
Yeah, rather than, I mean, a lot of people have been making the one-to-one comparison between 2017, but I think just calling it like 2017 light is just a nicer framing of it.
God, in the setup, I forgot about McCaffrey being in there. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Baby. Can we get it? Can we get it? No.
Oh, we can get it. Question about Brees. I do think Brees is a pretty. I mean, he's falling to the 4th sometimes now.
I got him mid-4th in the last DK draft I did.
I like Kittle.
Yeah, I just do Kittle here because I think you're pretty happy with any of Mixon, Hubbard, Devonta Smith, Rashee Rice if they come back. I'm not like overjoyed to click Mixon, but it'd be a decent ADP fall, and I don't think I have any of him on DraftKings. So, yeah, I looked at all the inputs for JSN. I gotta say, I think we're being pretty fair. I think if anything, we're like underestimating upside, but that's probably the direction we want to be in, given concerns that the Seahawks might be bad. But what we're saying is basically like his upside is what we saw last year. Like that you already saw it. You saw the best outcome for him last year, which I don't think is true.
I don't think it's quite true. Yeah.
Right. And so, but I'm with you that I'd prefer to be there.
All right. I'll man up and draft some JSN. Okay.
You're not wrong that's a yucky part of the board though, right? Like there's a bunch of question marks right there on all those guys. The warts, they just turn the lights on at last call there, and now you're having to stare down Garrett Wilson and JSN, with all the lighting.
Hurts is fine here.
Yeah, it's free. That's the easy one.
You think you just do it?
Oh yeah, Jalen Hurts. Look where Josh Allen went. Like, yes, I agree that Josh Allen's a better pick than Jalen Hurts. He is not. He is not a pick 212 versus pick 5-5.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. I don't tend to draft a lot of naked Hurts, but that's pretty good on DraftKings.
He's really easy to stack with Goddard too. Goddard
is it a stack?
I think that's the most likely outcome right now. Yeah. I think it's pretty. The Eagles are just doing Eagles things of like, it'd be really cool for us if someone's down to give us something for this aging tight end that we don't want to add to another contract. But I think it's just it's a savvy move by the Eagles per usual. I don't think it's going to come to fruition, but there's some probability that he's traded. But even so, like, you don't care if you have naked Hurts.
Flag planting Taj Brooks as the Chris Carson. I like that. That's a good one. I think, isn't Matt Waldman really high on Taj Brooks?
He's very high. I think he's got him as his second RB in the class. I jokingly said in the Shit Chasing Discord today after someone shared that, it's like, damn it, I have to stop clicking Taj Brooks now. But
well, he's He might be on the rise.
Yeah.
That's
I,
that's higher than I would have him. I'll say that.
Dricko and I got into a heated debate over Taj Brooks versus Woody Marks as our 20th round pick a couple FFPC drafts
I'm
ago.
Team Brooks there.
Thank you. I was Team Brooks as well.
Woody
I don't
Marks,
see it with
man.
Woody Marks.
We should make a I don't see it all-star team.
Mm.
Quinn Ewers is at quarterback.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers at quarterback, Isaiah Bond at wide receiver.
I kind of maybe see it with Isaiah Bond. I just don't think it happens.
That's probably a better characterization of it. Yeah.
There's like I want the guys who are like I'm just like I don't see what you're seeing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what is
What are you
what is
talking
what
about?
is the
Yeah.
appeal? Quinn Ewers and Woody Marks are like that's my 1-2 turn pick.
Yeah, I mean shit, that might be 101, 102. Like
Yeah. There was a time when Woody Marks was being taken in the 150s and 160s. Cut to Hayden Winks in a hot dog suit. In the hot dog suit as a USC colors.
Oh man. Woody Marks is going to be incredible in an air raid offense in the UFL in a couple seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, he would be good there.
Oh, this is
I
okay,
know.
so
We can't even talk about it. Don't
I
talk
know.
about it.
On
Don't
DK,
talk about it because it already happened once. Yes.
So often I have already got a running back or a couple on DK, just the way that it goes here. Like
Dude,
a ton of
Travion.
times Jalen Hurts would be Chuba Hubbard. And so I don't find myself in a position where I'm taking
This is rated
Travion here.
ADP though. That's the
Yes.
nice thing on DK. It's
No, this is
everyone we
great.
like goes a little later. It's DK.
Yeah.
Yeah, DK's amazing where it's like it's the same guys kind of in the same order, but they all are little later. They're all
Yeah.
just there when you want them.
No, that's a really good fit for this team too.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That was fun. That was a fun one.
It would have been really sad if the same guy that sniped on Omari and Hampton also did it with Travion Henderson, but
Yeah, you know what? I agree with this comment. It's more that this running back fits the need of so many NFL teams at the running back position. There has been like a need for a class to refill the coffers at running back, and this class is not as good at 2017, but it does come along at a time where it could be like 2017, where just there's a ton of starters who fill. Now, what I guess the question would be, does it have the staying power of 2017? Because there could be another class that comes behind it, and these guys would be more vulnerable than these great running backs where they came out of 2017. But who cares if that has staying power for best ball, right? Ricky Pearsall seems good.
yeah, all of these four guys basically. Khalil Shakir wins my Calvin Ridley on underdog underexposed guy because I take a bunch of guys who are around him. Khalil Shakir wins that award for me on DraftKings. I think I'm pretty light Shakir and heavy everyone else. You have 7% Shakir, and I'm like more than 13% on all the other receivers that go right around him here.
Yeah, I mean, I take more Shakir on underdog because he tends to go. He's like at the 7-8 turn, and I find myself needing a receiver there sometimes. Yeah, this team's shaping up pretty nicely.
Yeah, as they
we got
often
outs
do
for quarterback 2. A few different outs.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be super greedy with our quarterback 2 and just try to on DraftKings. Often I just don't have that luxury where I can't really push quarterback because I'm worried about the room going crazy and snapping him up. But this room has been a little more chill on quarterback, and we have Hurts at a great value, so we can be greedy and try and push it.
Yeah, Hayden did go to USC, unless I'm mistaken, but I'm like 90% sure or higher. I'm going to go ahead and say he did go to USC. That's why I was joking before. He, you're always able to nitpick the initial rankings, of course, but it is funny that someone from his alma mater was much higher than he ended up being. That tickles me. Who else has changed a bunch since it opened?
Let's see. So the vast majority of my drafting recently has been on DraftKings. I'm almost maxed on both sites, but DraftKings, I waited till we got the sidekick up there. Diggs has changed a ton on DK because he was going in like the 120s.
Where'd he go here? He'll have
He
already gone
went
off the board.
at pick
no,
80.
not quite yet. Damn, he's already gone. Okay.
And
wow, yeah, pick 80.
Oh, he goes in the 5th and 6th.
That's crazy,
I would say in
man.
about half my drafts, he's gone by the middle of the 6th round right now.
Damn.
Yeah. I know it's kind of a bummer because I was really looking forward to getting some digs with May, but DraftKings they move the ADP fast. They're not always going to be accurate with or precise with their pricing, but they're going to be typically accurate with the direction that the guy should be moving in. And it'll happen a lot quicker than Underdog.
Yep. So we've got 4 receivers, tight end, quarterback, 1 running back through 7 rounds.
I already know who you're going to take when it gets here if they're available.
All right, we'll see. Let me know if he gets taken.
He
was
did
it Warren?
Get taken, yeah.
You were incorrect.
Oh, okay.
It
was Hunter, yeah.
Hunter's just a beautiful wide receiver 5.
Yeah, no, he is. I mean, can I interest you in a consolation prize of Matthew Golden or Emeka Egbuka, though?
Should we push it and grab a running back?
You can. I usually will decide.
Are you Golden or Egbuka? Which one? We should.
I'm kind of Egbuka pilled. I think he's probably the better. Like when we're fast forwarding and it's December of 2025, and we're like, kind of crazy that we're taking all these guys over Emeka Egbuka, right? Like he's the one where that feels the most. Like I can see it in my mind's eye the most, but I like them both.
Here's the thing I'm struggling with. I am on your side of that argument, but Matthew Golden is much more likely to rise, especially on DraftKings once he gets that first round capital.
That's a good argument.
So now I've got to chase Matthew Golden to round 5 just to get any exposure. I mean, it's DraftKings. Who are we kidding? He'll still be like round 7, but he'll be higher than Egbuka. It won't be like someone you're deciding between. Ibuka's like available in the 9th and 10th because he fell to the 2nd round. And if you want Golden, you got to take him in the 7th. So it's like, I just wish I took Golden, when they were the same price.
Yeah, no, that's a strong argument. I'm over on both, but I'm very over on Egbuka.
Yeah, I think Ibuka's a better bet. But my numbers don't really back it up. They're like kind of in the same tier, or even Golden slightly ahead. I'm kind of digging into the wide receivers now and like really, kind of getting everything finalized for my write-ups. And Golden kind of comes out as like a late 1st round rookie pick type, and Ibuka's more like an early 2nd round. So, pretty similar. But all right, I'm thinking maybe ETN.
Yeah, I think we do ETN here.
Because we have other options at quarterback.
Yep, and people were quick to kind of snap up these running backs. I think we just take ETN. He pairs nicely with Henderson. We have someone who should be getting some points if Henderson's slow to start.
And the sidekick reminds us of our
now we have all our outs at quarterback here at the top. So it's
and a little bit more. Yeah, we're pushing it. We might not get these guys, but
yeah, because I mean, our worst case scenario is then we're like, okay, we're just gonna hop on the JJ McCarthy Express when that comes
exactly.
Or even the Trevor Lawrence goes at like pick 140 on DK.
That's true. ETN opened up another path.
Absurd to me. And we were talking about like Parker Washington and the ambiguity of like the second wide receiver, second pass catcher in Jacksonville. Like Brenton Strange going in like the 170s here, I think is a great backstack option. And then just this team, you're pretty happy at receiver, but on teams where I end up like, ooh, my receivers are a little light, I'll just take naked Trevor Lawrence and then know that I'm going to I have guaranteed one receiver I'm taking in the last round. It's one of these Jags guys.
I like it. All right, so that's good. And honestly, I'm more worried about running back than quarterback too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll be pretty happy with our next pick. usually I have my choice between Charbonnet or Skattebo here.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing on DK that is like I think worth noting if you're going to be drafting over here a lot, you can see who's on auto draft on DK. I mean, I assume
Yeah.
most people watching know this, but like you can look at the guy in the 11
Yeah. Yeah.
hole.
This dude up
He's
here.
got that
Yeah.
little green symbol on him. He's going to auto draft. Some people will have rankings, so they won't auto draft just right off ADP. A lot of them are just auto drafting off ADP. And even if they're not, if you're paying attention, you can tell, like, oh, that guy's using leg up rankings. I know because he took the top guy in my ranks as well. Or, like, oh, that's definitely ETR rankings because that guy just took Javonte Williams like 40 picks higher than I would have taken him. And, like, so you can figure out who they're going to take next, the auto drafters. And, like, I've been in rooms with 2 or 3 of them and you can really plan your draft out that way. You're like, all right, I know that top of the queue is not safe by ADP, so I can't push this guy here. Or, okay, I know that they're using the same ranks as me because I just saw them take guys that in the same order I've got them. Then I know that I can probably push this quarterback around. So just paying attention to that on DraftKings, if you're trying to get really sweaty, is something where you can squeeze a little extra value out.
You get so locked in, man. I'm never able to achieve the level of locked in where you're like, that guy's on ETR, that guy's on leg up. Okay, he's on ADP. All right. uh, all right. Luther Burden goes. We got Justin Herbert falling back to us. Jordan Mason, DeAndre Swift are pretty good picks here.
I think
Dallas
I'm
Goddard.
pretty Jordan Mason pilled here for this team.
Okay. Yeah, by ADP, we're kind of like everybody's going. So it's like pick one of these guys. I guess Goddard actually might come back, but I don't mind Mason.
Yeah, I would think Goddard comes back. I get him to fall often.
Yeah, you're right. He does tend to fall. He falls sometimes really late on underdog. I haven't seen him fall quite as far on DraftKings. Maybe it's because the auto drafters scoop him.
Yeah. Justin has a good question about like post draft risers and why we care about that in a pre draft contest. So for me, it's because I'm of course I'm balancing my portfolio within a tournament, but also I'm thinking of it through the context of the entire season. And so post draft, just for a thought experiment, pretend that people go crazy and Matthew Golden starts going 101. And we're like, absolutely not. That's not a thing I'll be doing. And then you have 0% of him. And it's like, man, so for him at 101, obviously that's a little absurd. And it's like, he probably never pays that off. But if you do like a more reasonable, okay, now he goes in the 4th round, it's like, what's the probability of him paying that off? Probably pretty low. But I'd prefer to have some of him. Like I'd be happier if he didn't rise to some absurd price, so I have exposure, so that when he's hitting, I'm not just like, oh, it's a season that I've
You good with
lost.
Goddard here?
Yeah, Goddard's a great pick for us here.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, it's like I prefer to have my exposures be a little more balanced as long as the prices are relatively reasonable. So I'm not just like, shoot, it's a season where I didn't have Matthew Golden and he's the guy you need. So that's,
Yeah, I guess because what I would say is like, yes, you're going to have Golden in a tournament where everyone else is getting him at a similar price, but the hits, like getting, especially like a rookie hit, you know, a guy who could potentially be popping off at the end of the season, it will probably come down to like, you're looking like at the end of the year, we're going through and I'm looking and I'm like, where are my Burrow teams? Where are my, you know, where are my Rico teams, you know, in that 1 week that he had, right? Like these dudes are advancing. I know I drafted them. Like, let me see the teams that I have them on because they're going to be the guys who are going to help get me through this week. Where are my Golden teams? And, you know, yeah, he went in the 7th round, but let's say I have a big bag of Golden from the big board or from, you know, the DraftKings pre-draft contest. That's pretty cool, especially if I had to fade him later. Even if I didn't have like some huge CLV like gain on my opponents, no one had to draft him at a 5th round price in the same tournament that I got him in the 8th or whatever. But I still have a bunch of 8th round Golden. So in my overall best ball portfolio, that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Henry got steamed, and I mean, that's kind of the reverse of it. You wanted Henry, but it's like I didn't take Henry. Wouldn't I have? I wish I had the cheap Henry before I faded the expensive Henry. Even if I was wrong, at least I didn't have to be all the way wrong. you know, 30% on Brenton Strange on underdog, ridiculous. You're asking the right guy. Zach, is it
I
ridiculous?
I don't think so. I'm pretty Brenton Strange pilled. It
I
took
know
me
you
a
are.
little. I was late to the party because I thought it did not make a ton of sense for the Jags to release Ingram. I thought it was either going to be Ingram or Kirk, and I felt more confident it was Kirk. Uh,
It
and
was both,
it was both.
in a sense.
And I just thought that the Jags they weren't in dire need for cap space. Like they had the room, and it's not like they saved a ton of money by getting rid of Ingram. Like they still had to sign at the position. They went and got other tight ends. So it was like, to me, it felt weird. We'll see how it plays out this season, and like if they had a plan at the position, and maybe Brenton Strange is just so good that they're like, there's just no point. Like this guy's just better. We want Strange on the field over Ingram, and then it would make sense. But yeah, I thought that Ingram was going to end up sticking there. Once he left, I'm pretty into the idea of Strange. I don't think he rose enough. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's a fun one.
So we got kind of boxed out of quarterback here. Um, every quarterback who we at all wanted is gone. We could do like Leggett and try to set up a Bryce Young stack. We could just take Penix and maybe try to get Kyle Pitts later. What are your thoughts? Either we could go Dobbs or we don't really need Dobbs though. I'd
We
probably just
don't
go
we don't
Jaden
really
Higgins.
need Dobbs on this team. Yeah, I'm good just going for Leggett
If you
and
want to do
setting up the
Leggett,
stack. Yeah.
we might as well do that.
This is the part of the draft on DK where it's like the 80, like here, don't look at the sidekick, just look at ADPs, sort by ADP rather than rank real quick. And like look at this wasteland. Like
Mm-hmm.
Jerome Ford I think is okay here, but like actually for our team Jerome Ford kind of makes sense too.
He does.
But it is kind of a wasteland here.
Bryce Young makes more sense.
Yeah, Bryce Young is good. The other thing that's nice about Bryce Young, if you're trying to do like give me an emergency stack here, and we take Leggett to set up Young, is then you have the nice little add-on of Coker later, who's
For
actually
sure.
my preferred receiver with
Right.
with
Right.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Leggett is the vegetables to set up my Bryce Young steak to get my Jalen Coker dessert.
Well said. I'm into that. I was like, because when you said Bryce Young steak, I was kind of like, oh, you just use steak. I thought Coke. Oh, dessert. Yeah. Good point. All right. Bryce Young, come on down.
Yeah, he's not a prime cut or anything, but
And then it's got us going to these rookie running backs or some of these handcuffs. Henderson, ETN, Mason. We probably need like mix in a couple veterans. Jerome Ford would be nice. He's like, we like the rookies better, but he fits this team better.
yeah.
But there's some
And
other
I'm
guys
I'm
we can
into the
add on to.
idea of like Rico Dowdle, like
For sure.
Trey
Rico Dowd will be nice.
Benson, like yeah. This is a team where we'll probably end up with 7 running backs, I would assume, because we're probably done at 2 quarterback here.
Yeah. Jackson Dart question. As far as best ball goes, I think he is like a bailout quarterback 3. I wouldn't even bother taking him here, but with a non-elite quarterback 1, or even like Mahomes type, I would consider him as a quarterback 3. But there is risk that he's just a 0 all season. He could go to the Saints. He could go to the Seahawks and sit like the entire year almost. He could go to the Steelers with Rodgers and sit probably, at least 3 or 4 weeks. So there's spots where he doesn't play much.
I have
There's
2%
also spots
and
where he
feel
would
pretty
be.
good about it.
What'd you say?
I have 2% and feel pretty good
Yeah,
about that amount.
I would. I'm pretty sure I have more and would want a little more, because I do think he's like He's somewhat mobile, not like a true dual threat, but he can run and kind of scramble and all that. He's got a good deep ball, and yeah, I mean he could be kind of a playmaker in the right setup. It's just about does he end up in a situation where he could start. But I do think he goes first round in the draft.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
QB1 to this, but
he's
he
fun.
wouldn't be this. He wouldn't be this. I think both teams would sit him for, would be planning to truly sit him for a year, and where they take him would probably be able to pull it off.
You're praying that he's starting in the playoff weeks. You're like really hoping that happens.
I think he would be a Penix to Carr, and he probably does take over at the end of the year, but it might be Penix's schedule. Not
like if the Saints are taking him at 9, then yeah, he's probably taking over for Carr. Has to be cooking for they got to be squarely in the playoff hunt for Carr to not get benched then.
Yeah. So and that's why I think he's useful as like on a team like what did we took him with Davis today. I think we had what did we have? It was something like you didn't have to. It might have been like Caleb and Purdy. Even there, maybe you don't have to do it. But like, let's see. If you had like Purdy and Ward, I might be like, why not a little more upside at the end of the season? Or Lawrence
and Geno. You're like,
yeah, Lawrence and Geno. Lawrence and Nix even.
Right.
Be like, let me throw in one more guy who could like maybe pop off in the playoff weeks. Because these dudes are pocket passers. They're not necessarily like going to be week in, week out. They have a really high ceiling in a single week, but they're not going to be uber consistent maybe. All right, let's go with one of these guys. We could also grab Coker. Where's he? Let's see, Coker or one of these running backs. What do you want?
Yeah, I think with the next 2 picks, we would want that to be Coker plus one of the running backs. So maybe we do Coker and let the room pick our running back for us.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. How would you order these guys right now?
Gun to my head, RJ Harvey. I really like Giddens and Harvey, but it's Sampson's probably I think Sampson is the one that's most likely to get the draft capital out of
I agree
all these guys, and so
I agree.
It's the smart move is probably Sampson first, then Harvey, Giddens, then Neal, and then I'm pretty into the idea of Blake Corum, especially at his cost. Yeah,
I would one of these rookies.
I'd probably do Harvey here.
Okay, let's do it.
I mean, once you've watched RJ Harvey highlight tape, it's fun, hard. Man. It's pretty hard to quit him.
I thought the NFL was going to be like, no, he's a scat back, doesn't hit the right hole and all this stuff. I don't know, but he just like had that vibe, and then that wasn't their take at all. Like based on kind of the more traditional scouting. Seems like, I don't know. It's like he's more of a regular running back that is like really good in space. I'm like, okay, I can work with that.
One of the best like clips / edits to come out of the combine was RJ Harvey's 40 time getting spliced into one of his breakaway runs with the announcer yelling, RJ Harvey. It's so good. It's electric. It's just such a perfect cut. He's just like flying through his 40, and then it's him just absolutely house calling a run. It's pretty good.
I need to fix this. It's cropping evidence.
Yeah, no, you need to slide it slightly more to the left. Just cover that Y up.
Evidence-based football. What?
That's a totally different kind of stream.
That's a different type of site, brother. I'll work. I was not letting me crop it right now. I have to do it for now. You're getting some evidence-based football anal. At least it's evidence based,
Yes. Are we
That's
at
important.
4 running backs right now?
We're at 4 running backs.
Okay. Yeah, we're
Think we
definitely
need
gonna
to
end
get
up
serious at running back?
with a couple gross ones, I think.
Well, Eckler goes. On DraftKings, it can get gross real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
He just locked out. It didn't used to be this way. Get-ins used to
No.
be available. Like we kind of
Uh-uh.
ruined DraftKings a
We
little
did.
bit.
They were in the 190s, 200s when I.
Yeah.
That's how. I mean, let me read you this running back exposure. Damian Martinez 48%, Dylan
Jesus.
Sampson 30%, Omarion Hampton 30%, RJ Harvey 25%, DJ Giddens 23%. Like I was slamming these guys. I'm part of the problem.
You truly are. The DraftKings ADP updates quickly. You can't just go in there taking 45% of every rookie running back and expect it to last.
Wow, we've got Velka's League of Legends references in the chat. What a crossover! I did not think I would be thinking about Velka.
What does this
today.
mean?
He's a character from League of Legends. He's
Okay,
a
wait, sorry.
creature from the void.
Okay. What is about cost comparison analysis? That's funny. Oh, we lost
Damian Martinez. Snipe is
right,
brutal.
do we have to take Ollie Gordon?
I think this is a you must take Ollie Gordon type of team.
Yeah, Shipley goes way later. We can't do that.
Yeah.
All right. Ollie Gordon. People forget how good his 2023 was. He was explosive as hell. He was almost Saquon Barkley level of a prospect. His breakaway percentage was kind of on par with Barkley's career breakaway percentage in that year. I mean, that's pretty good upside to get in. What are we in, round 16? I honestly can't believe he's going so late. It's almost like something must have happened this past year to completely change the prospect profile.
This is the Ollie Gordon copium that I tell myself though. I watch the clips from 2024 and I say he just doesn't look healthy to me. He just doesn't look healthy. I think I think he just needs a year to get healthy.
Yeah, I bet you're right. I don't know why I clicked on Ray Davis there.
But yeah, I've definitely found myself in this spot before on DraftKings where I'm telling myself stories about Ollie Gordon.
He was the 102. I did a best ball draft, college football best ball draft with Froton, and Gordon was the 102 in that draft. That's crazy. I mean, not that he even went 102, but it's crazy that that's how far of a fall we're talking about. We're talking about if Barkley stayed healthy, didn't get hurt at all, and then enter the following season healthy and was basically undrafted. All right, let's do Will Shipley, right?
Yeah, I think we just do Shipley. We're pretty strong at wide receiver, so it's like, sure, we could try and push Shipley, but like we have a need at running back.
We have a need. Yeah. We have a need that our last pick didn't do anything to address, even though it was all running back.
Very Nate Noel-esque.
Yeah.
That's
Big
unfair.
Nate Noel.
That's unfair
is what
to
I like to
floor
call
Ollie Gordon.
Yeah. Big Nate Noel. He does have talent. C Money here, of course, talking about Nate Noel, not Ollie Gordon, who stinks.
I would be happy if the Ollie Gordon thing works out. I'd be happy. I think I've got a decent amount on. I have 11% on DK just because what's happening right now, it happens to me sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to take a few more rookies for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to pull up some rookies here. Singletary and Gibson are like the veteran options. Brashard Smith, one I was hoping for.
That's the one I was hoping would come back.
Yeah, we might want to take the chat's advice and grab Blue here. Let's see, did Blue go, or we just have him lower down? Did he go?
So I noticed in the ranks you moved Rocket Sanders up a little bit. We were high on Rocket Sanders early in the process. Then I'm
worried about his draft capital a little. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was listening to the pod you did with JJ, and basically JJ summed it up as the same way that I had evaluated Rocket Sanders, a
God.
big man catch ball.
Yeah. All right, let's get blue in the mix here. I'm gonna take a look at that rank after. Might be a touch light. We could pivot and go with a receiver. If we're gonna take one more receiver, we might as well do it here.
I think we're probably going to take one more receiver, and all these
Yeah.
running backs stink. So it's like
All the running backs are the same kind of. Let's do Ayamanor if we can get them.
yeah. Well, Artillery Frost is Purdy boys in the draft with us.
Oh.
He's been taking all of our desired picks. Oh, well, he even gets sniped on IM.
Well,
That's
and then
fine.
he
You've
took Fannin.
opened up your Torrey Horton love here.
Yeah, Torrey Horton. I'm trying to get more of. I like him as a day two guy. I think if he goes day two, I think he's pretty interesting as a flyer.
It's just also just like from a a theory prospect or perspective, like how much more Jack Beck do I need? How much?
I actually lowered him a little bit. He's interesting, but we don't need like a gigantic bag.
Right. It's just like, hey, I'm not so confident in this bet that I want it to all be Jack Beck and have zero Torrey Horton.
Exactly.
I do think it's really good process to just mix up these guys that you think are at all a reasonable pick here, because there's so much stuff that's going to change in the next 8 months.
Yeah, and I do think like ideally you would be like mixing in your picks. Like today I took Horton. I took Horton twice and Jack Besh twice and Kyle Williams twice. That would be like the best way to do it, because then it's not like a day where you're like, oh no, this is when I was drafting Jack Besh and the answer was Torrey Horton. But like that's not really the way the real world works. It's like we didn't know that you should be mixing in Kyle Williams because like there wasn't buzz on him. And then like, it's kind of interesting. I was listening to Connor Rogers and Trevor Sycamore pod, and they had Kyle Williams, I believe, wide receiver 10 and wide receiver 11. And they were talking about their previous thing, and they're like, we hadn't gotten to Kyle Williams yet. Let's go ahead and let's take Jaden Blue. There was some love from him in the chat. But it's like, yeah, they hadn't had a chance to kind of get to him, and that's fine. The draft is still 20 days away. But for us, we're like, what the heck, man? What about Kyle Williams? I should have been drafting him back in February. It's just like, I don't know, with some of these rookies, some of the later rookies, some of the dart throws, the process is like everyone's process hasn't fully completed yet. So now I'm trying to take a little more Kyle Williams and a little less Jack Besh, because Besh's moment started earlier. It was with, the Senior Bowl and all of that. And they're kind of similar types of bets. And Torrey Horton seems like he's having his moment a little bit more right now. I'm starting to feel like there's better odds that he goes day two than I thought there were before. So I'm just trying to just act on that. And so my portfolio is going to be like a little bit heavier Besh in March and some February too, and a little bit heavier in Kyle Williams and Torrey Horton in April. It's not ideal, but I think it's better than getting take lock.
Yeah, agree. Artillery Frost had a question. Is a Jake Ferguson tight end one team worth taking 4 tight ends? And I think it's less about who's your tight end one and more about like what is the whole of your tight end room. And when you have Chigakonkwo and Harold Fannin and Jake Ferguson, yeah, absolutely, you can take a 4th tight end here.
All right, Besh going to the Cowboys at 44, and they aren't taking Golden at 12. I mean, I would say Besh is live to go to the Cowboys at 44. I don't think that's crazy.
That'd be good for my Jack Besh bags.
Yeah, it'd be good for the bags. I would not argue with that. It'd be really funny if they took they took Golden at 12 now. Just any comment that ends LOL with a definitive statement and an LOL, I'm like, well, now I hope that happens. I'm just gonna root for that now. Let's see. What should we do?
Well, I think it's going to be a long, long time when we see this pick pay off. But I do think that Raheem Rocket Man Sanders is the pick here.
Okay.
I bet you did not have Elton John quotes on your bingo card.
Rocket Man. Uh-oh. We just got demonetized. That was quick. No, I got a notification. Um, I want to hear Pat's take on Pickett if he's the starter and Cleveland takes Hunter. My take on Pickett, my take on Hunter is that he's undraftable and actually plays cornerback now. And what were we thinking? Why did we draft a cornerback in best ball? That would be my take on Hunter. Pickett, I refuse to have a take on. Pickett remains undraftable even as a starter, but he also has made Hunter one of the most exciting players of a generation completely undraftable. All right, that'll do it for this little Draft Friday. Getting together on Friday. I'm gonna keep doing this, doing a little close of the week with some drafts. I mean, I kind of have to do this. I'm like way behind on drafting. But yeah, we'll be back next week. Gonna keep having some guests on and ripping some drafts. Zach, anything you want to shout out before we go?
No, just working on an article. Should have it ready near the NFL draft. So going to be working on that for the next couple weeks, finishing up my drafts, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah, check out. We'll have more rookie content on the site early next week. Running backs, wide receivers, and some additional articles by Michael Dubner as well. So look out for that. Have a great weekend. Draft is just around the corner. Good luck on all your best ball drafts. See you later.